I'm talking to the U.S., okay? Your country's in decline, period. Birth rates are 1.63, right? That's a decline. That's not even replacement, okay? Wages are in decline, okay? Everything that you're seeing, small businesses are in decline. Those are the two things, by the way, for those of you who don't know, if you haven't followed my work, there's two things that you look at when you look at a country's health. Two things. Are they having kids? That's first. Second, are their small businesses even working? Are their small businesses declining? Small businesses are declining, birth rates are declining. The U.S. is in full decline. Yet the bankers and the gurus are telling you guys, all you landlords out there, to just keep buying all these rental properties. Without a second thought of, like, if you have 10 rental properties, it requires 10 corresponding tenants, right? Which means that you need to have progressively more and more people constantly paying rent. The country was never designed nor intended to be a nation of fucking renters. I don't know how many different ways to say this. And when I see this kind of behavior, especially with the amount of money you're paying for these properties, what am I to believe? You're like, well, but you just want people to sell all this stuff off. Yeah, I do. I want you to sell them off. Why don't you sell them to people? Why do you have to sell them to an institution? Well, the institution's the only thing that can afford it. Let me just give you a fucking clue. If the only people, or if the only thing that can afford these houses or properties are giant institutions, it's because you've overpriced them, or you overborrowed. You made a shitty financial decision and you overborrowed way beyond the utility of that property, right? That's what happened. So you have to bring your prices down. You have to eat that, okay? And the bankers are going to make you eat it because you agreed to indemnify them from losses. That's exactly what you did. That's all a landlord is just someone who's indemnifying the banks from losses. Okay, you didn't make the banks take the. See, if the banks had taken all that risk, and in other words, if no one wanted to be a landlord ever, the banks would say we're not lending that money on those houses. They wouldn't. They would say no way, we're not going to do that. But because they found a greater fool who was willing to take up the slack on all of that, and then just keep rotating people in and out of these properties, you know, and effectively monetizing the depreciation of the house, right? That's really what's happening, because they found a fool who was willing to do that. They're willing to just keep pumping up these ridiculous loans into $400,000, $500,000, $600,000. Well, if you price yourself out of the market, what is the market? The market is just people. That's the market. And if the only people buying these things are institutions from you, it's because you go to the mirror, you're the greater fool. You paid too much for these properties. And you should be looking to sell them probably to people, but you're not going to, because you owe too much in a lot of cases. Once again, that means you overborrowed. You borrowed too much money for those properties. I don't know how else there is no way to be nice about this anymore. There isn't a way to be nice about this. I'm just telling you, if you paid that much money, you're fucked.